Hey friends. This week was about really just moving the garden closer to being able to plant it out. We should be now past our last freeze here in Central Florida. I garden in Zone 9B, but I'm right on the northern edge of Zone 9B and 9A. So this is a tropical climate. And what that means is basically that I have almost the entire year as my growing season, and what I have found, even though this is not scientific because I'm not a professional gardener at all, is that I tend to be able to grow things kind of at all different times. I'm finding that while I do try to stick to the traditional grow this in this season rules, I can break them a little bit here. I just feel like I have to give you a disclaimer, because if you're watching this channel as like a tutorial to how to garden correctly, that's not what it's going to be. This is just my journey, and a lot of it is trial and error. And there are so many times when I'm just like, I'll just try and grow this thing, and I'll try and grow it right now, and we'll see what happens. And sometimes it doesn't work, and sometimes it works great. Sometimes I get lucky and the thing I want to grow is right in that season, and sometimes it's completely the wrong time and I try it anyway. So this week in the garden, I got all of the compost and worm castings added to the beds. I also have been adding coconut coir as like a mulching agent for the top, which is something I've never done before. I've had so much success in starting my seedlings in the coconut coir, and I've been wanting to mulch, but just feeling overwhelmed by choices for what to use for mulch. And I just decided after researching that coconut coir was the most cost-effective and environmentally conscious, simple, organic method for me to do it. So that's what I'm trying out this year. So I did that. All the beds are full and amended. I haven't done my soil test yet because I'm still intimidated, but I swear I'm going to do it. I swear I'm going to do it. The reason I'm stalling on it is because I've never done one before, and I think that my fear is that I'm going to get results and then not know what to do next. And that's absolutely what's going to happen. So I should stop being afraid of it, and I should just accept that I'm going to have to probably get online after I get my results from my at-home soil test, and do some research on what I need to get to amend it, because I'm not going to know the best fertilizers or the best organic options. So I just need to accept that that's the case and just do it already. But I haven't yet. So instead of doing that, I stalled and procrastinated by working on the pollinator garden, which I decided to give myself the challenge of making from scraps that I had here on our property. So where the garden used to be, we put up a temporary wood fence while our neighbors were doing construction, but then they put up a permanent, really nice vinyl fence. And so we took the wood fence down when we moved the garden, and we're gonna either recycle or repurpose it. And the big thick square fence posts in the ground were literally just standing there in the ground looking ugly. And I pulled them out of the ground, and I decided I would use them to build a 4x4 bed because they're 8 feet long. This is like the easiest math ever. And a 4x4 square bed fit design-wise in the middle of my other 2 raised beds in the front of my garden. So I decided I wanted to do a pollinator garden in the middle of my veggie garden, which I've never done, and I am so excited about. I put soil in, I put some compost, some worm castings, some coconut coir, and then what I was originally going to do was like grow some flowers, start them in my seedling tray, and kind of move them over. And I went to the nursery to pick up just an extra bag of like organic potting soil to kind of start off the base of it because I was running low. And I found these beautiful violas. And my daughter loves flowers, and she also really loves edible flowers. And since violas are edible, I decided I would get some for the pollinator garden. And I came back and I planted the violas and a couple herbs. I transplanted some milkweed, and I put some of the flower seedlings in. And I just really hated how it looked. I was not happy. I was actually so bummed. I was standing out there just like, oh, I spent this whole afternoon working on this and I don't like how it looks. So I decided to pull an audible, and I pulled all the violas out and I put them in their own little pot all together. And I put that pot over by my daughter's garden, which she's claimed one of the raised beds, the one on the right side, as hers. So I put it over there and I like stuck her little plastic shovel in, and we have a fairy door, so we put that in there and we just made it kind of this whimsical little spot. And I love that. But then it left the problem of what do we do in the pollinator garden. So I didn't film it because it was just spur of the moment, but we had so much fun. So I got all of my flower seeds that I had ordered for this season, which I ordered so many things I've never done before. So this is all new to me and I'm really excited. I'll pull them out so you can see. We got these out and we just kind of went crazy. Like, we had so much fun just basically wildflower style throwing seeds into this garden. So as everything grows, it's going to be kind of a cottage garden style pollinator garden. Originally I was trying to structure it with like color and height, and I ended up we just went crazy throwing seeds everywhere. So here's what we've got in it. We planted these Cosmo seeds, which I've done Cosmos once in the past and they did well, but these are double Dutch rose. So they have the extra layer of petals that makes them really fluffy, and I am so hopeful for these to grow. I'm really excited. I also have these Rosetta that I think are really lovely, kind of like a fuchsia pink color. And then we have these zinnia. They are called Pink Senorita. They're kind of scraggly, but I think they kind of look vintage cottage. And I think that arrangements of flowers in a vase inside of our house, of these three together, are gonna look so beautiful. We also planted these nasturtiums, Tip Top Rose. There's like kind of a coral, beautiful rose coral color. And some gold ring sunflower, just like a real standard bright pretty yellow sunflower. And we just tossed a few chamomile seeds in, like why not, right? Just see what happens. So that is what is planted in the pollinator garden now, and I'm so excited about what it could potentially look like. And then right in the center, I know I told you guys I wanted to do a bird bath, but I don't have one right now. And the whole point of the pollinator garden was to not go out and buy a bunch of stuff, was to just use what we had. And since I don't have one and I haven't been able to find one on Craigslist or Facebook Marketplace, what I do have is this really beautiful metal, kind of like cloche shaped trellis that I bought years ago. And so I put that right in the center, and I'm using it to hold up the milkweed, because right now the milkweed are just coming back. Like, they were just sticks basically, and it's just now starting to grow leaves again. So what I'm hoping is that they'll kind of grow out through the middle, and it'll create this really beautiful like kind of trumpet shape in the middle with the milkweed. And eventually, you know, when the butterfly season is over, I can pull out the milkweed and maybe put a bird bath there. Maybe by then I'll have one. But so that's what it looks like now, and I'm really excited. So now I'm very antsy to get going on the rest of the garden, and I had to fight the urge to just go out there and do stuff yesterday, because my whole thing right now is laying strong foundations, going slow, being intentional, making mindful choices, connecting with nature, connecting with the earth, not just going willy-nilly and rushing. So I made myself stop. I didn't plant anything else in the big beds other than a few nasturtium seedlings in my daughter's raised bed. And I went inside and I sat down. And so this is what I do to plan where I'm going to plant stuff in the garden. I can actually show you the last iteration of the side yard garden was this. Can you guys see? And you can see like the shape of it is all written out, and then all the extra small beds. And this iteration was the first time I really sat down and planned out companion planting. So I'm doing that again this time. Although you can see last time I didn't have very many varieties that I was working with, and now look at this year's. Oh my gosh, it's so many more. Can you see? The lists are giant. I have so many more varieties of things this year, because this is the first time I actually took the time to sit down and research varieties and like buy specific varieties of things. And then I just draw out the shape of the garden on the bottom. Do you see? And then I just write stuff in. So it's really that simple. I pull up a simple companion planting chart online. I use Deanna's from Homestead and Chill. Companion planting just means planting things next to each other that benefit each other. So for example, it could be a flower that acts as a trap plant, meaning that that plant attracts insects that are also attracted to one of my vegetables that's nearby. So it's like kind of stops them before they get to the vegetable. Or it could be the opposite. It could be a flower that's a deterrent, or an herb that's a deterrent to insects. They don't like the smell. So I plant that near a vegetable that those insects would normally be coming to. Or it could be things that enrich each other. So for example, beans pull nitrogen into the soil and enrich the soil. So another nitrogen loving plant being planted nearby could be helpful. All right, so the things that I have, let me see if I can find them all. I'll show you some of the main things. I have more seeds that are coming. What I'm thinking that I'm going to do is in the one to the right side, which is now my daughter's garden, I asked her what she wanted and she said she wants flowers and carrots. She just likes things that she can pull out and eat. And she is 4.5, and we're working very hard on understanding that while the garden is fun because you can just pull stuff off and eat it, you can't just pull leaves off of every plant you find and eat them. So I am going to plant things specifically in her garden that are exceptionally safe for her to do that with. So we have nasturtiums already planted in there. We are going to do some carrots. We're also going to do radishes. So I have a big assortment of radish seeds of all different kinds. Some are spring, some are winter, but like I said, I kind of do I do spring and fall things in the spring and fall at the same time here in Florida because it's the only time to do it. So these are the 3 varieties I have. I have Pink Beauty, which is a traditional radish like what you're probably used to getting at the grocery store. I have the Chinese red meat, which is like the watermelon radish, which is so pretty. And I have this purple plum, which is whitish on the inside and purple on the outside. And I've never tasted this one, so I don't know how it is. So that'll be fun. But I wanted something that she could just pull right out and eat if she wants. So, I also have this one that I really like. Pink Gulabi. Anything, not only for kids. Growing vegetables that are unique colors that are different than what you can just get at your standard supermarket make eating vegetables so much more fun and enjoyable. Plus, from a health perspective, eating a wide variety of colors that are naturally occurring is really good for you because all of those phytonutrients are, so good for you. Okay, so we have that. Oh, here's my carrots. Okay, so I have this one, which is a shorter variety. So we're going to try that. New Kuroda. And then I have the Black Nebula, which is just my favorite for the kids because it's so fun to cut it open and have that be the color that it does. Also, if you make rice or soup with this one, it turns everything like a pink purple color. So that's a little bit fun. So we're gonna do that. And then we're also gonna do kale in her garden because she actually really loves to just pick the leaves off and eat them. And also it is the most shaded of all of the garden beds. So hopefully it won't get too burnt in the sun. So I'm gonna do this blue curled Scotch kale. And I'm really excited about that. What else do I have? Oh, here's the cosmic purple carrots for my daughter's garden. We'll do that. In the 2 raised beds in the front, I think I only have one of them planned out right now, and the other one I'm waiting to figure out, but I'm pretty sure they're gonna mostly be peppers. I'm growing the most peppers I've ever grown, and I'm really excited about it. For the first time, I'm also going to try lettuce leaf basil, which I'm really excited about. I love basil and I'm good at growing basil. So I'm going to grow traditional basil as well. But this basil grows in giant lettuce leaves and I've heard that it's incredible for lettuce wraps. Okay, so that's going to go in the raised beds. I'm doing 1 tomato and it's a cherry tomato variety that just looked fun. No one in my house likes tomatoes except for me. So there's really no point in me growing tons of tomatoes. I know that's like the trendy thing to do, but there's just no point. Also, I think growing tomatoes is really, really hard here in Central Florida. I have a hard time every single time to keep the pests away from them long enough to actually get a harvest. So I'm doing one just for the sheer fun of it to put on salads for myself. And it is this variety that just looks so good. It is blue cream berry cherry tomatoes. And I'm going to be growing them in just like a half barrel that I have. So outside of the rest of the garden, because this variety gets really tall. And I think if I put it in the raised bed, it'll be so tall that I can't manage it. So I'm going to do it in its own little bucket. Okay, so this year I'm actually trying the most leafy greens I've ever done. Usually I don't grow any leafy greens because they all bolt or burn up before I can get anything out of them. The only thing I've had success with is kale, which is so weird to be in Florida. But I searched out varieties that supposedly do better here, and it's spring and I'm gonna give it a try, because one of the things I've learned in my veggie garden is to not grow things just because they're trendy or just because it's what other gardeners grow, but to grow things that I will actually eat and my family will actually use, because otherwise you just end up with harvests that rot, and it's such a bummer. So the number one vegetables we go through in our house are peppers, onions, and leafy greens. Onions are a little bit hard to grow here. I have a few varieties I'm going to try. I'm kind of going to go more in like a green onions, shallot kind of direction instead of like big onions. But leafy greens I figure I can try. So like I said, I have that lettuce leaf basil, which I'm excited about. The blue curled Scotch kale, which is my favorite type of kale. I also got this seed for free, and I've heard really good things about it. It's called Russian red kale. So we're gonna try that, why not? I'm gonna try my first Asian greens. We're gonna grow some tatsoi, which I'm really excited about. I think that'll be really yummy for like soups and skillets. We're also going to grow sorrel, which I would have never grown in a million years, except my family took a RV road trip to Asheville and we did this foraging tour, which was so fun. And we foraged wild sorrel and we ate it, and it has such a cool tangy taste. And I didn't realize that it was like this incredibly easy to grow native thing here in the Southeast. But I just thought to top on salads or burgers or tacos, because it has like kind of like a tangy kick, almost tart, citrusy kind of, that would be really fun thing to do just as a supplement. I'm also going to be growing microgreens in the two little flower beds that are attached to the front of the big bed. And we're going to be doing red Malabar spinach. I've seen this in a couple gardens, and I just think it is so visually beautiful because it will climb and vine. And it's not a traditional spinach, but you can eat the leaves the same way, so I'm excited about that. Every time I garden, every season, and I kind of break my gardening seasons, since I really just have one long growing season, into two, like spring and fall. And each time I pick out one completely random thing that's really outside of our comfort zone to grow just for the sheer fun of it. This time I've picked out a bunch because I'm doing this new big garden, so I'm doing all these new things. But I always let the kids help me pick the one thing. So in the past, we've tried miniature watermelons, we've tried loofah gourds, and this year we are going to be trying edamame. This is my kids' all-time favorite plant to eat. I don't know if you consider edamame a vegetable. They love it. They will eat entire giant bowls of it. So I bought so many edamame seeds, and I'm going to try my best to get a giant harvest that we can freeze, and then we can like just steam them whenever the kids want it. Because I struggle so hard to get my kids to eat vegetables at dinner, but they will literally eat an entire bowl of this before my husband and I get any. So this is our fun one that we're gonna try and grow. Some of the other things we're trying just for fun, and I have no idea how they're gonna do, is I'm trying huckleberry. Here in Central Florida in the Southeast, it's a little bit trickier to grow some of the fruits that are easier up north, like all of the berries and all of the amazing stone fruit trees and all of that kind of stuff. But huckleberries apparently grow. This variety grows really well here, and they're really yummy for jams and jellies. So I thought that could be a fun one with the kids to do. We also have 2 citrus trees, an orange and a mystery citrus tree that is never fruited, so we don't know what it is. We also have bananas and pineapples. So those are our fruits that we're doing for now. Let's see, what else do we have? We're also going to be doing lemon balm, oregano, basil, thyme, probably some mint, and chamomile. Those are the herbs that I really want to grow. I really enjoy growing tea herbs, like herbs that I can put in tea, and lemon balm and chamomile and mint are some of my all-time favorite for that. Okay, so that's the seeds that we got, and that's the garden plan for now. Oh, I'm going to try growing okra. I've never eaten okra in a way that I enjoyed it ever. But okra, especially the variety I got, which, did I write it down? I don't think I wrote it down, and it's not here yet, but it is one of the varieties that grows the most voraciously here in the Southeast. And if you know anything about the South, you know that okra is like a cooking staple. One of the things that I've learned about gardening is that if there is a vegetable that I don't like, odds are, if I grow it, I will be able to find a way to cook it to really enjoy it. There is just something different about vegetables and herbs and fruits that you grow yourself. They taste so much better than the stuff that's in the supermarket. And it makes sense, right? Because we're getting all these specific varieties that are like known for a certain flavor profile or known for having an intense flavor. And we're eating them fresh, like right off the vine. And they're not just the ones that are chosen because they can have the biggest harvest and make, you know, the company the most money, and they're not being shipped in, you know, boxes over weeks and stored and losing all of their flavor and nutritional benefit. So one of the things that I like to challenge myself with is to get vegetables that I don't like, that my family doesn't like, and grow them and see if we like them. So far, we have learned that we like radishes. My kids have learned that they love raw carrots. We've learned that we like a lot more herbs than we thought we did. I've learned that I really like cherry tomatoes. And you realize, oh my gosh, I actually do like this. Because so much of the time, the reason why we don't like a vegetable is because of how it's cooked, or because it just doesn't have very good flavor. And if you have the vegetables yourself and you can experiment with different ways to cook them, that's great. And if you have them fresh, varieties that are known to do well in your area that have really great flavor profiles, then the odds are you might actually really like it. So we're gonna try okra. We'll see how it goes. I'll report back. Oh, and the one last thing I'm trying, but I'm not putting too much of my hope in it because I can't get the seeds to germinate, is moringa, dwarf moringa, which is a superfood. It also grows incredibly well here in our tropical climate, and you can eat the seeds. I'm pretty sure you can eat the roots, or not the seeds. And you can just pick the leaves right off. You can put them in salads, you can blend them in smoothies, and moringa is like this incredible superfood. So I'm really excited to try that one, but we'll see how it goes. While this is all very exciting, I'm going to be honest and say that this week I was really struggling a little bit in frustration, because even though I'm working on this incredible garden build and I'm so excited because it gives me an expanded area that I've never had before, it also at the same time reminds me that I don't have the full expansion that I crave. So I've been getting more and more into gardening because I feel this pull. I feel this pull to slow down and to reconnect to where I come from. the land, the earth, nature. I feel like I've lived this crazy, fast-paced social media life for so long, and I don't know what happened, but it was like I just had this moment where I just knew I had to reconnect with it. And as I did, it felt like coming home. It was so healing to me. It infused my life with metaphor and poetry and lessons and this sense of connection and sacredness and ritual. And I realized that that's what I wanted more of. So it's become more and more clear to me over time that what I want is a more intentional, slower life. And I'm not in that place right now. And I'm fully aware that at any point we can decide to completely change our lives. I believe that 150%. Like, we are not trees. We can pick up and move whenever we want. My husband and I could sell our house. We could move to the country. We could move to a different country. We could buy a homestead. We could build a tiny house. Like, we could do all these things. However, just because we could do them doesn't necessarily mean that they're the right, healthiest thing for us right now. Right now, the best thing for us to do is to be really, really good stewards of where we are. We have elementary school aged children. We don't have a ton of family or close friends nearby that can help us. Like, we don't have that community, so we don't have a lot of childcare. We can't just move to the middle of nowhere right now. We would be very unsupported. And because both of us are self-employed creative business owners, support is really important, and so is some convenience. So living in the suburbs of a big metro area where we have really great schools and really great grocery stores, and we have delivery and we have restaurants and all of these kind of things is something that is really helpful right now in our life. The trade-off of that is that we don't have land, and I can't cultivate sprawling gardens and orchards and chicken coops and tons of, beehives for an aviary, and I can't have quail, and I can't have, llamas, and I can't do all of these things that I think would be so fun and that I know would connect me even more to the land and help me to slow down, see all the connection points, see how so much of it is outside of my control. So much of it just happens because of nature and this sense of being provided for, but also understanding that at one point that stops, and then I need to come into the equation too and be a good steward and nourish it and pay attention and not take too much, And so I love all of those lessons, and I feel drawn to doing it even on a bigger scale, but right now it's just not where we're at. So this week, my lesson and my mantra has been turn your waiting room into a classroom. It's a mantra I've heard from a bunch of different incredibly wise people throughout my life. And it's one that just kind of popped back up into my brain this week as a reminder to myself that I don't even know what I would do if I was handed the ability to have no restrictions. Like, I would be so overwhelmed. I'm still learning so much, and I'm still such a rookie. I don't get guaranteed harvests. I don't have all my seeds germinate. I can't predict how much food I'm going to be able to create. Like, we're not at that level yet. And I know the learning curve would be huge if we did have a bigger property where I could do more of this, or where I could have chickens or other animals. Like, I'd have to learn all that stuff too. So I'm really viewing this time as my opportunity to train myself and to get really good at the things that I can do, to get better at balancing my work life and my self-nourishing life, my work and my hobbies, my work and my spiritual practice, getting better at those things, so that when and if the time does come where our situation changes and I do have the capacity to expand in that way, I'm ready for it, and I can handle it, and I can maintain my work and the additional responsibilities that would have. So I don't know why I'm sharing this other than I shared this with my two closest friends this week, and they both really resonated with that little mantra. And so I thought maybe I'd share it with you, because maybe you are in a waiting room season of your life as well, like me, and you find yourself getting frustrated because you just feel stuck. And that is just one of my least favorite feelings in the world, is feeling stuck. Feeling like I don't have a way to propel myself towards where I want to go because of factors that are outside of my control. And it can be really easy to start to go down a negative spiral of feeling like, what's the point? What's the point of trying anything if I can't do the thing that I want to do or move myself towards that goal? And my reminder for myself and your reminder is that we can turn our waiting rooms into classrooms. We can start to learn on a smaller scale. We can practice and get really good at the things that we can do now, so that when the opportunity does come, we are fully equipped to take advantage of it and to thrive. And we're not just kind of thrown into a deep end, not knowing what we're doing and messing everything up. So here's to classrooms and waiting rooms. Here's to doing what we can with what we have and doing the best we can until we know better. And then when we know better, doing better. So I hope that wherever you are, as you find this video, you're encouraged to know that you can do something right now. You can use this opportunity to learn, to grow, to heal, to do whatever it is that helps you to be even more ready for whatever that big dream is, whatever that big goal is, so that when the floodgates do open, you can just run as fast as possible to chase it down. You're not stuck right now. You're just in a waiting room, and we can turn this waiting room into an opportunity too. Till next time.